it helps to enhance the activity of your immune system. But yet, in another study, we also found that it helps to balance your immune system, which sometimes you don't always want to get your immune system all revved up. Sometimes you got to bring it back down. Yes, it enhances it, but it also modulates the immune system.
Hey, it's Ultra Life today. My name is Kyle Drew, meat-eating, tofu-hating nutritionist, sitting in for Adam and Josh. We have an interesting show for you today. You know, if you've been in the supplement world like I have for decades, you start to learn kind of a back to the future effect with a lot of supplements. It's very, very interesting to me. 30 years ago, some people took the old Knox gelatin and they would use that for their joints. And then people stopped talking about it for decades. Now, collagen protein is all the rage. It's come back again with a twist. And I have found that a lot of products, B vitamins that now are methylated, there's like a twist, an improvement on an old theme, and it makes things a lot more intriguing and a lot more helpful for folks. And so I love it when this happens. Well, that is what we're talking about today. I don't know if you're as old as I am, but if you are, you might remember, if you cared anything about natural health, back in, say, the 70s and 80s, you'd make a protein shake, and then you'd get a scoop of something called wheat germ, and you'd put it in your shake, and you'd shake it up, and then you'd drink it down, and there were these benefits that you'd get from it. So the wheat germ still exists. But what is wheat germ extract? But wait a minute. What is fermented wheat germ extract? There's a twist on an old theme. And what is the super concentrated form that our guest today makes? He is a co-owner at American Biosciences. You need to know about this company. And just full disclosure, at Ultra Botanica, we make a number of products, one of which is called Pathway 3. It is a berberine product that has our LPS technology to help the absorption of the berberine. And then Adam, the CEO, one day said, you know what? We need to add another piece to the puzzle. We need to add something called fermented wheat germ extract, the super concentrated kind that you can get at American Biosciences, and the product became Pathway 3 Plus. You can find it on ultratoday.com, read all about it, but I am so interested to see what our guest says today. He is Rick Jahnke, co-owner at American Biosciences. Rick, welcome to the show today.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate you having me on today.
This is interesting to me because I think that it would help almost, it's not a history lesson, but let's start with just wheat germ extract. Before we get to what you guys do to it, tell us about wheat germ extract in simple terms, and what are the reasons that people have liked it in the health world up until now?
It's funny because you mentioned what is wheat germ extract, and I don't know what wheat germ extract is, but I know what fermented wheat germ extract is.
That's all you need to know. This is what you do. So there is no harm in saying, forget that. Well, all we're doing is the new improved version. So why don't we ask, what is fermented wheat germ extract then?
Well, basically, it is wheat germ that is fermented by baker's yeast. Now, it sounds very basic, and it kind of is very basic. It's a basic fermentation process that we use, that we've perfected over the last 20 years. And what it is the result is just an all natural ingredient that just has so many health benefits. It's some people say it's too much. Are you sure it does all this? And I say, yeah, it's crazy, but yes, it has all of these health benefits. And I'd like to go through, hopefully we'll go through some of those today, because I think you'll be really impressed.
I don't want to wait. Why don't we just start with some of the big headlines? What are some of the benefits that you found? You've studied this a lot. What are some of the benefits that you found with fermented wheat germ extract?
Okay, now I just want to preface this by saying that all of the things I'm going to talk about today, they're all backed by published research. We don't make any we don't say things that aren't proven through the research already. So just by starting off, it really helps to benefit your immune system.
Hmm.
How does it do that? It does that in a couple of ways. One, it helps to enhance the activity of your immune system. But yet, in another study, we also found that it helps to balance your immune system, which
Hmm.
sometimes you don't always want to get your immune system all revved up. Sometimes you got to bring it back down.
More of a
So,
modulator.
yeah, exactly. That's the perfect term for it. So, yes, it enhances it, but it also modulates the immune system. But recently, we found in our most recent research collaboration we did with a Nobel laureate at one of the most famous laboratories in the world, we found that it also enhances mitochondrial function.
Hmm.
That sounds somewhat technical, but your mitochondria are what control your cell fate, and your cells are really what make you. They're what keep you going. And by really enhancing that mitochondrial function, you're talking about health benefits that are just amazing.
Well, the mitochondria being the powerhouses of the cell, and that's where energy is produced. If the mitochondria are sluggish, and they will get sluggish over time, we all know this.
Sure.
As I've lost some hair and become gray, I can tell you, you lose functionality over time. But if we can find a way to restore some of that functionality, I think that would be huge. So immune benefits, mitochondrial benefits, anything else that we should know about?
Well, I mean, you're talking about two very, very basic core elements of overall health right there with mitochondrial function and immune function. What comes from that, from those two things are so many benefits. I mean, you're talking about really enhancing healthy aging more than anything else.
Okay, perfect. So metabolic function, energy, uh, is this something that we can think about with regard to the fermented wheat germ extract that you guys make?
Yeah, absolutely. And once again, you're talking about two of the most core elements of good health with immune enhancement and with mitochondrial health.
Hmm.
And when you're enhancing your mitochondrial function, you really are talking about overall metabolic health. And as you mentioned before, it's metabolic function is it's how do cells take the food and oxygen and convert it into energy.
Hmm.
And that food, by the way, is really glucose. It just takes the normal amount of glucose that a cell
Hmm.
usually has, mixes it with oxygen, which is what a healthy cell does, and boom, produces all the energy that you and that cell will need for a proper function until that cell is ready to kill itself. And that's a totally normal process. A cell essentially is created by dividing cells. Okay, now you've got a single cell. That single cell uses glucose, it uses oxygen, it goes through all the things it should be doing to help create and keep you healthy. And then at a certain point it says, okay, I've done my job here. Now it's time to set in process those steps that I need to actually commit suicide so a newer, healthier cell can come along and take my place.
Right. The normal process of cell birth, growth, death. This functions normally in a healthy person. Sometimes we need nutritional support to help move that along. Let
Yeah.
me ask you this. I'm going to be careful how I ask it. And folks, just please understand, I'm about to use the word cancer. I am not talking about a treatment for cancer, a cure for cancer. There is nothing about this that is being claimed. What I am asking is there are a lot of folks who purchase products from Ultra Botanica, Rick, and some are now purchasing the Pathway 3 Plus that has your fermented wheat germ extract in it. Some of these folks have shared with us that they have cancer. I only want to know, is it safe for folks who have cancer and might be being treated for cancer without we're not giving medical advice, but just wanting to know about the safety profile.
Sure. And once again, it's very funny because when we first started working with this product, we went through the process of GRAS, generally recognized as safe. So we had some of the leading experts in the world, go through the research and look at all the different type of laboratory analysis we did on this product. And they concluded at the end of the day, it is and this is written in the GRAS statement, it is as safe as a loaf of bread. But I'd like to take that one step further and say it's safer than a loaf of bread because our particular form of fermented wheat germ extract, which we call fermented wheat germ extract super concentrate, naturally takes out all the gluten. So there's no gluten or gliadine to worry about with this product. So it's actually safer than a loaf of bread.
Okay. I love where you're going. When we were talking about this interview, everybody came up with questions. And I say they came up with questions. There was really just one, and it was over and over again. And I think you just touched on it. You know, as well as I do, a lot of people are dealing with things like celiac disease. A lot of people have gluten intolerances, and they're on a very strict diet, and they have to read every single label. And some of the folks who have called and said, I'm interested in this Pathway 3 Plus, but I've got a gluten intolerance. Is it safe to take this? Am I going to be miserable if I take this product? So you're saying, you say it in your own words one more time, just so that folks understand that this might be okay to take even with gluten intolerances.
Sure. I can tell you that what we did is that we've improved upon the original fermented wheat germ extract that came from Europe. We've improved on it so much with what we did is that we patented our own extraction method. So essentially what we've done is that we've taken all the good parts of fermented wheat germ extract, all the active parts of it, kept it in this formulation, but we're able to disregard all of the non-active, non-good parts, including gluten. And we can prove that through every lot that we produce of this is tested, and every test comes back that gluten, gliadine, whatever, are non-detectable. Non-detectable.
Okay. I was looking at the C of A that you've provided to our company, and I was looking at all of that. And sure enough, everything that you just said is something that's confirmed over and over again. The mycotoxins, there was a study done by Dr. Ruth Etzel back in 2002, published in the Journal of the American Medical Association, and there are a lot of folks over time, thanks to people like Doug Kaufman, Dave Asprey, and others, who have been concerned about fungal poisons, mycotoxins, that are commonly found in things like wheat and other grains.
Sure.
But in looking at the C of A, it looks like you guys have studied that extensively, and there really isn't something to be worried about with regard to that as well, yes?
No, absolutely not. And
that's great.
It's very funny because you wonder how many people, could have been helped by this product, but weren't, just simply because they saw the wheat on there, and I feel bad. I mean, we need to call it what it is. It's wheat germ fermented by baker's yeast, but we start off with boxcars full of wheat germ when we bring it into our facility. I mean, it's wheat germ as far as you can see in these big bundles. And essentially we take these big bundles of wheat germ and we're turning them into just a few boxes of the fermented wheat germ extract super concentrate. So we really do super concentrate it, and we really do extract it to the point where that gluten is not in there anymore.
That's tremendous. And by the way, is that part of the way in which your product differs from others who might have something like just wheat germ extract? Yours is fermented, and you call it super concentrated.
Yes.
What can you say about that just a little bit more so that folks can know if they're Googling this, if they forgot American Biosciences, how do people know why this one is better than maybe what they see out there on the internet?
So it's very funny when when we first started working with wheat germ, we were the ones who brought it to the United States, and this was back in 2003, 2004. Wonderful product. The only problem was that compliance was such an issue. Not only did it taste real bad, but it didn't mix well. It was a very large dose. It was 17 grams that had to be mixed in water and drinking, and it was just horrible, and the compliance was terrible. So we knew from the beginning we had to improve this product because the overall results are great, but if people can't take it, what's the sense of having, you just can't get the compliance.
Right.
So we said, okay, we have to improve this process. And we did. We worked really hard on improving the process by which we extracted this. And it was amazing that we were able to get it down from 17 grams a day down to 41 milligrams.
Whoa.
So
Wow.
Think about that. We have gone from such a big dose down to such a small dose. And yet all of our studies that we did, studies where we made sure that the product is just as effective as it was before. And yes, we can show that in published research. It is just as effective as it was before.
That is tremendous. So you don't have to take as much. There's not much in each of these capsules of the Pathway 3 Plus, and
Yes.
yet it is tremendously powerful. And people are reporting some tremendous results as they begin to take this. You mentioned the studies. Are there any headlines from any studies that would help practitioners have confidence in recommending this to their patients that we should know about?
Oh, sure. We've gone from, as they call it, in vitro. Don't want to get too technical. In vitro is essentially laboratory research. To in vivo, which is essentially animal research, to human clinical studies. And in every case, we're able to show it is extremely effective, it's extremely safe, and it always seems to work. No matter what study we've done in the past, it's always been beneficial to the patients who are taking it, because what we did is we controlled these studies. And what I mean by that is we had people who were in the same type of patients who weren't taking it, who were just taking, their normal everyday medication. And then we had a group of patients in the non-control group that were taking their medication along with the fermented wheat germ extract. And it was always the treatment group or the non-control group always did much better than the control group, because they added just the fermented wheat germ extract to their medication.
That's tremendous. You were talking about it being super concentrated, don't have to take as much. What is a standard dose of your fermented wheat germ extract?
And this is based solely on weight, and it's for people from 100 pounds to 200 pounds. It's simply 2 capsules a day. The only time you vary from that 2 capsule a day dose is when you go to when you weigh more or you weigh less. If you weigh more than 200 pounds, we recommend doubling the dose. If you weigh less than 100 pounds, we recommend half of the dose. Otherwise, the dose is the dose. And many times with natural products, they'll talk about research and then put a dose on the box or the bottle. That's about 1/20th of the researched dose. And that's unfair. That's not fair to do to people. With our fermented wheat germ extract super concentrate, what you're getting in the daily dose is exactly what we use in our research.
I love it, and that makes it really, really simple for folks. By the way, last question. Anybody who should be cautious about taking this, there's a red flag, be careful. Anybody that needs to be concerned about this?
Well, because of the immune enhancement effects, we do recommend that sometimes people who are some sort of organ transplant or are on immune suppressive medication for an organ transplant, then yes, we recommend, okay, you don't want to stimulate your immune system because you don't want your immune system overactive, especially when you're putting something in the body that's brand new that the immune system isn't going to recognize. But otherwise, that's about it. I mean, you're talking about 21 years of experience of selling fermented wheat germ extract. And on one hand, you could count the people who told us they had some sort of reaction to it, and most of that came from gluten. Ever since we created the super concentrated version of this, it is so safe, and I will guarantee that because I take it myself. I recommend it. I give it to my family. I give it to my kids.
Yep, I do the same thing. I take a little bit of this every day. I have some for my wife and my son, and it makes it, whenever you take it every day, it makes it easy to recommend to others. As a nutritionist, I will tell you, just between you and me, I'm already beginning to think about certain of my clients that I want to recommend this to based on the science and based on some of the conversations we had today. I really have a few in mind, and I just want to be careful, just be compliant with how I talk about it. But off the air, I might tell you about that. So
That's great. Yeah. The way I do is I say, just, look at the research and, I think you'll be really impressed.
Rick, I hope that you will come back again. And I think that there's some stuff that we'd like to do with clinicians at some point with you. I think that they need to be let in on this so that we can have a really frank discussion about it, probably kind of private. But for those of you who like what you hear and you're interested, please go to ultratoday.com, ultratoday.com. You can just click through everything. You'll eventually find this is the gold one, the Pathway 3 Plus. It has the American Biosciences fermented wheat germ extract, the super concentrate. And it's the one that we've talked about today. Rick, really, really nice visiting with you today. You've helped me a lot. I know that you're helping a lot of other folks. Thank you for what you're doing. And I hope to see you again, okay?
Great. Thank you very much. I love being here. I'll come back anytime.
Thank you, Rick. Talk to you again. Thanks for joining us today, folks.